She was unconscious, and my dad had her by the hair, and he was hitting her. He was hitting her with his fists. Bam, bam, bam. My name is Anthony Blackman, and this is my warrior story. So I was born June the 14th, 1975 in Long Island, New York City. The first 5 years of my life were absolutely phenomenal. My father was a caddy and also a chauffeur in the big city. And my mom was a young, very beautiful, aspiring nurse. And she was just a great mother. And those first 5 years of my life were so beautiful. You know, I can remember times of just joy, just going to the Central Park and just doing great things. And I just remember it was such a beautiful time, those first 5 years of my life. And then we moved to Mobile, Alabama, where my mother and father was born. And the way I process it is that life became an immediate nightmare. It seemed as if my mother and father became instant alcoholics. My dad became very violent. He could not keep a job. We moved from one community to another community to lower different parts of, living in Mobile, Alabama. My dad became he became a different person, as I remember. He became very abusive, and I can remember one time my mom was unconscious. She was unconscious, and my dad had her by the hair, and he was hitting her. He was hitting her with his fists. Bam, bam, bam. And me and my sister was just in the corner, just terrified, just crying. And my brother creeped up behind him with a pipe about this size and hit him in the back of his head. Blood was just gushing out his head like a water fountain. And we was taken to a shelter for women and battered children. I began to hate God because I knew that there was a God, but I could not understand why we suffered the way we suffered as little children. So I began to continue to act out in schools. I started to smoke cigarettes. I started to drink. I began to idolize the drug dealers, the players, the pimps, those guys who were hustling and in the streets. By the time I turned 13, I was trying to hang out with the crack dealers. So as a 13-year-old kid, I was strung out on crack cocaine, a runaway, just lost in the streets. So I was a Muslim, I was the devil worshiper, I was a crackhead, I was a gangbanger. I was all messed up. And so I can't stay on the streets. They say, well, we're gonna lock you up until you turn 18 so you can phase age out of this juvenile system. And when they told me, well, you getting ready to go home, you're 18 years old, and I was like, I'm out of here, I'm grown now. And so I think I stayed out about 2 months and I went to prison when I was 18 years old. I get out of prison, I'm 21 years old, I have no job skills, I've never worked a job in my life, you know what I mean? I'm a 7th grade dropout. and I don't know nothing but the streets. I'm terrified. And I got my first job, free to travel, no experience necessary. I looked in the newspaper, and Dad was free to travel, no experience necessary. And my first mentor, Preston Young, he had a group of young people from all over the United States traveling, selling books and magazines for chapel sales. And so I rose in sales. I fell in love with sales at 21, but I still was getting high, man. I still was getting high. They sent me to Hollywood, Florida. This lady who was working at the hotel that I was staying at, she walked up to me and she called me a preacher. She said, "Hey, you look just like this preacher named Chris Hill from T.D. Jake Ministries." And I cursed out. I still was very rough around the edges at that time. And I felt offended that she said that I looked like a preacher. And I cursed her out, and I told her I was Muslim and I didn't believe in that Jesus is a prophet. And that was the mask that I had on. But she saw right through it. She just kept reaching out. She kept reaching out. And all of a sudden, we became friends. And I began to share some of the dark stuff that I hadn't told nobody. I began to share with her about being molested as a child and being abused and being neglected and rejected and being raped at 14 and growing up in juveniles and group homes and my going to prison twice and just living in the streets and she just, man, this woman showed me the love of Christ that I had never seen in my life. And on March the 9th, 2001, I was in that hotel in Hollywood, Florida, and I began to curse God out, which I hadn't done in a very long time. But I say, Jesus, if you real, then you got to show up in this room right now. Because I don't believe it, and I will never believe it unless you show it to me. And that was the day that I had a personal encounter with Jesus Christ. My mind told me to open the drawer. And there was a blue Gideon Bible in that room. So I opened that Bible up to Psalm 51. And this is my first time ever reading Psalms 51. And every word that I read, it just pierced my heart and my soul. I'm telling you, I had a personal encounter. That was the day that I gave my heart to Jesus Christ. And that's when my journey began. Today I serve as an executive staff at the Warrior Center, where I'm the community director, and I love it. God's so good, man. Thank you, Lord. But they said I was never gonna make it. They said I wasn't gonna make it, man. They said I can remember, like in my early teens, boy, it looked so bad. It was so dark. It was all dark. I didn't even think I was gonna live to be 18 years old. God protected me. He protected me through that. He just protected me
I just know that I'm just a trophy of his grace. That's it. I ain't nobody special. Just a nobody trying to tell everybody about somebody who could save anybody.
If you're ready to embark on a life-changing journey, take the first step towards renewal. Reach out to the Warrior Center today and unlock the warrior within you. Because every story of redemption starts with a choice to heal, to overcome, and to rise.